Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and today we're talking about the 4th episode of the new season of Fargo. And the title is, very hard for me to pronounce, let's see, Insalabillia. And I'm probably saying it wrong. I practiced it. It has a lot of syllables and it's kind of hard. So if it's said a different way, I apologize. But anyway, it's something about the paradox of lying. And it goes back to the medieval times. So the only medieval thing they've been talking about is Munch and his medieval ancestors. And there is a scene of him in the show later on. We'll talk about it, because it's kind of gross, where they put him in a side-by-side picture with the sheriff, and he's talking about rich people and about what they want and what they can get, etc., etc. I don't know. He goes on and on. It's almost like he's a philosopher, or and these things that he's saying come naturally. It's not like he's stilted or anything when he talks, but he just spills it out. It's weird. In a bathtub, naked, with filth all over himself,
and
in front of his mother.
We should also say that at the end of last episode, remember we talked about how there was that guy with like the blood dripping off of him or something, and he walked into Dorothy's house. Well, that was not Dorothy's house. That was the
Sheriff Tillman's house.
Yeah, so he was entering his house, which I would say that last episode was not very good. It was very weak. And this episode kind of made up for it, and I really feel like, again, I will echo what I said last week, and I will say that for sure they should have aired these 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more fun.
Because last episode had that build-up at the end, and then the build-up isn't satisfied until this episode, so... Right?
Right. Well, it's a build-up to Seamus, who's the son of the sheriff. They show him all the time.
Seamus?
Yeah, that's what she called him. She called him that.
His name is Gator.
I know, but she called him Seamus. She did. Maybe she was saying shameless?
She was saying she was saying shame on you.
Oh, I thought she was calling him Seamus.
Maybe
that's her nickname for it. I don't know.
She was saying shame on you. There's a baby in the house.
Well, she did say that after.
Shame on you.
Well, whatever. You have him and he has 3 buddies. Now, the thing I liked about them, although they're evil and bad, but they get what's coming to them, of course. They're wearing these really cool Nightmare Before Christmas masks.
Yeah, that was cool.
They're gigantic, and they're. I'm trying to think. They have the face of the.
They have Jack Skellington. They have the mayor.
Yeah,
and
mayor.
They have 2 of the children, the troublemaker children.
Yeah, the bad trick-or-treaters.
The ones that are like Safi.
But they're huge white masks. And I guess, they feel like it's Halloween. Nobody will suspect them. They're all dressed up with these. They're all like wearing dark clothes. But then they have these huge white masks. And I thought those were really cool. That was one of my favorite parts, because I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
And what ends up happening, the home invasion thing, it is not very... It's not what you would have expected, because it's a lot more realistic, I think.
Yeah. Well, she had planned for certain things to happen.
Like Home Alone.
But she could not foresee how everything would actually work out in real time. Plus the fact she did more than what they showed.
And I thought that was cool, because
I did too.
I'm glad that it wasn't just an over-the-top thing where everything went as planned and it was some, like, repeat of episode 1. because it would have made things a lot less interesting. Like, she's not really... Because if they did that, then she wouldn't really have much to do the rest of the season. Like, you know, it's better to be realistic like this, where everything doesn't work out, and then, she has to... I mean, even with the bat, when she put all those nails in the bat and made her little Negan bat, she tries to swing it, and then it gets stuck in the wood, in the whatever, the
hallway.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, that was funny and everything. And, everything did not work out like episode 1. But she still managed to kick some you-know-what.
Yeah, which was great. And the son, even at the end of it, when he goes to his dad, he doesn't even expect him to explain it. He can tell they didn't succeed. And he called her a tiger, like Munch did. She is a tiger. And he actually talked to her, like we're saying, and he took his mask off, and she recognized him.
And she said, "Shame on you, Gator. There's a baby in the house," even though she's like fucking, what, like 10?
10,
Yeah.
But still, there's a child. And that is true. And
I really liked that home invasion sequence, and I thought that was probably one of the best parts of the episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Safi,
And, well, I'm just
you're not supposed to just
thinking back about it. She had done, and I don't know how she did it, but they had some inner compartments, and like maybe in the chimney or at just a crawl space that went vertically up and down, which that's vertical. And they had a ladder that you could climb through the inner part of the house. I don't know how they did that, but that was one of their and I don't understand. Another thing I don't understand, she's trying to, and it's really unrealistic of her. She's trying to keep this on the down low, and meaning she's trying to keep this from her husband and everybody what is going on there. She doesn't want to reveal. She's hiding out from this man who thinks, and it's going to be coming up. We didn't see it in this episode, but they showed, something that might be coming up, that he thinks she's his property. But anyway, she doesn't tell anybody. I mean, she has put in, I've said this last week, she's really putting her husband and her daughter in danger by not really being honest. And I don't know how she got them to hide. She got them to hide up in the, and you knew she was preparing for them. She knew these guys were coming. She put something in the oven, and I don't know if she did this on purpose, because all the other two were hiding. And I guess they were hiding up in the attic. And she put something in there so it would start burning, but not in the bad way where that was going to start a fire. It would cause a lot of smoke. So and I don't know if she did this on purpose or not. I just thought because the other two were hiding. So I thought she did it deliberately. So when it would make that sound when something's burning, the oven would make some kind of warning sound. And then it made all the smoke in the kitchen, like a smoke screen. So she could sneak up behind them and do something bad to them with whatever she had. You like that? Remember, she put a sledgehammer up in the rope up around the front door. And if you did something about releasing it, it would fly right into somebody's face. Kind of like a Home Alone thing. Trap. So anyway, but I don't know what she would have told them. She got them to hide up in the attic, her husband and her daughter. So, I mean,
they were already hiding in the attic before the episode started, so right. We didn't get to see that, but, whatever.
It doesn't matter, but I mean, the thing is...
She lied to them somehow. She's lying about everything, and she's trying to cover everything up.
Which is impossible. There's too many people and agencies involved.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why it looks like she's able to cover everything up is because each episode isn't very much time. There's not very much time that's passed through each episode. Like, even though it looks like she's kind of holding it together, she's really not, because it's just time is passing slowly since they're, doing the episodes, and I guarantee that, she's not going to be able to do this for much longer, because, we saw that next episode, the family of the husband is going to find out, so, it won't be long before the police find out, too. I just wonder which episode is going to be the origin story episode, because as well as I do, one of the episodes this season is going to be a backstory episode where it's her being married to John Hamm.
Yep.
And that's all it's going to be. And then at the end of the episode, it'll show her, like, and she's remembering everything. I wonder which episode that'll be this season.
I don't know.
Because I'm not really looking forward to it, because even though, like, it's John Hamm, this character's so evil and he's so gross that, like, it seems like even when he's with his family, it's like they're being held hostage by him. Yeah. Like, it doesn't even seem like they're a normal family. It seems like he's holding them as hostage. It's like a fake family. It's pretty creepy. It's like Safi, kind of.
Oh, come on. Yeah, and when I said there's going to be several agencies involved, mainly, who knows, but, like, now you've got the FBI. They're upset about, they show a scene, I think they go to their local office, and they talk to the head agent there, and, they said there's weapons, tactical weapons missing, and they talk about, remember the guy, Gator's friend, buddy, who was wearing a deputy uniform too. He was killed at the gas station by Munch, and so they talk about that guy. They said he died in a car accident, but they buried him within 12 hours. And so they talk about all this stuff, and then the guy and their boss says to leave it alone. They said because they have.
Well, I will say though that these FBI agents, they're the worst part of the show.
Yeah, I don't like them.
They're stupid.
They're green.
They're superficial. So far, they don't have any depth. They're just kind of idiotic FBI agents, and
not a good thing.
Very, very typical.
I don't like that.
It's kind of like in a horror movie when you have the stupid police characters, but in this situation, the police characters are smart, and then the FBI agents are kind of like the police in the horror movie. Right, Safi?
Yeah, but then they find out at the end that Tillman's second wife is still alive because she got her fingerprints taken.
And she's the second wife. She's not his first wife. So, Gator is probably the first wife's child.
Yeah, because she's just too young.
Yeah.
To have a kid like that. I mean, he's older.
So what goes wrong at the home invasion? Since I don't know why Safi didn't talk about that yet.
Okay. Well, I just said there's several agencies. So there's going to be the FBI. There's going to be the Highway Patrol.
I think people figured that out.
And it's just
so in the home invasion, they're running from the bad guys, and they go into the bedroom to run away. And the husband goes to the window and tries to open it, and he gets electric shocked because that was one of the traps that she rigged.
And she told him not to do it, and he ran in there. She tried to stop him.
He's panicking.
And couldn't stop him.
And so he got electric shocked. It looked like it was going to be like a surprise death, but
I know.
Thankfully it wasn't, because that would have not ended well for her.
No, not at all.
The family would have been like...
holding her responsible, of course.
Yeah. And so they do this kind of like funny thing where she's got to like throw them off the roof, and they're escaping out the roof, because also the house sets on fire from the electric shock setting the curtains on fire. So they escape the house, and she throws her husband off the roof, which I wonder what damage that did to him. Because, I mean, she threw him off the roof.
And she goes, oop.
Yeah, and you hear a thump.
And then the bad guys, now they're still in the house. And one of them got mashed down at the head. Another one got knocked out, so they kind of struggle and they get out the door.
Yeah, so wasn't the sledgehammer guy the one who got killed?
Yeah, they said there was I don't know how they said a corpse or something.
And then the other guy, he just got knocked out. So it went pretty wrong. I mean, at least the daughter didn't get hurt. That's the only thing you can say. But I really liked how realistic that was and how not cartoony it was. And so then they go to the hospital. And, well, we should also say they had these kind of extra scenes that are going to be building to something, I guess, in the next few episodes. But the policewoman, she is in debt because her husband, cut off his thumb or something. He did something to his thumb.
It's a medical bill, and they haven't paid it.
Yeah. And so she gets a call from a debt collector, and then we find out that the husband's family actually has this business called Redemption something. And they claim that they will help you get out of debt with, like, payment plans and whatever. And it's just clearly, like, a bunch of bullshit where, like, they're trying to, I think, like, take advantage of people.
It's a debt consolidation service.
They're taking advantage of people because they're evil and they're rich and that, you know, they can do whatever they want.
They've made over $1 billion.
And so I don't know why they had those two scenes. I guess maybe the policewoman might use their services or something.
That's what I was wondering too.
But I don't know exactly where that's gonna go. Right now, it just kind of felt like that was like a little side plot that didn't really matter to anything. And then we get back to the hospital, and I thought it was really funny too. One of my favorite parts was the look on Jennifer Jason Leigh's face when she found out that her son was in the hospital. Because she just looked like, what? And she's like, my house is burning down. Or my son's house is burning down. And I thought that was hilarious. She was like really disturbed by that.
But then she comes storming into the hospital, treating everybody like it's a hotel, demanding where her son is and that he should be in a private room and have all these special setups and perks. And they tell her, you know, lady, this isn't a hotel, a hospital.
And she's bothering Dorothy, and at the same time, the trooper and the policewoman come, and they're bothering her too, so that they can question her about what happened. And so you have all these people bothering her after what happened, and Safi said she didn't like that.
Well, she had a little girl right next to her too, and they had to work it out. So this is what I mean. She can't continue to do this. I don't know how much longer it's going to be. But she tells her daughter that before all these people show up, that they can't talk about the men. They said just say that there was faulty wiring and that caused a fire, and her husband, you know, hurt himself on that. The problem is that the fire investigators will see that that was set up.
Yeah, they'll also see all the other traps, too.
Yeah, but I
right?
mean, as far as electricity and fire...
They'll see the sledgehammer. They'll see the marks where the nails from the nail bat hit into the wall. You know, they'll see all this stuff. They'll find it.
So
And
even though she tells her not to say anything about these men, the lie won't be able to stand for very long.
well, and they had another funny thing where the police were saying something about like who did this to you or something like that, and then the daughter's like, Jack Skellington did it.
Because they had those masks on.
That was also a good line in the episode. So she is able to evade everyone and go visit her husband, and he's really happy to see her, even though he's not really that mad at her that she's hasn't told him what's going on yet, and he also knows her real name now, Nadine.
Because they called the Gator guy called her that at the house, and he heard that. He said, Nadine, what is this? Who's Nadine? And so now here's another lie thing. She's trying to convince her husband that he just got, she said, remember you went trick-or-treating, we came home, and you were trying to fool with some lights, and you got yourself zapped, and then we had a fire, and anyway, it's just not going to last. It just can't. I don't know. Her husband, I know, is a little bit dippy, but he still clearly heard the name, Nadine. So, I mean, I don't know how much longer. I don't know how it's going to work out. It'll be interesting to see. But I don't think. I just hope that they're not going to punish her. She's not going to get punished because she hasn't done anything wrong. She just, it sounds like, the way they've set it up, she's just escaped from like an abusive or a really bad situation.
Well, who knows, like, was she doing that thing with the trunk? Like, where she had to dress up in the different costumes? Like,
Well, I wondered about that
we,
too.
we have yet to see, like, this backstory, so there's a lot of, like, space to ponder, because, I mean, how did she become so skilled, too? How did she become such a skilled fighter and such a Rambo-type character when she was with him? Like, did he train her or something?
Well, you gotta wonder,
Like,
because
I don't know.
he deals in weapons. That's what the FBI, one of the things that they're looking at, because they have a militia, or he is associated with some kind of militia. It's supposed to be the strongest militia, most powerful militia in North Dakota or whatever. And anyway, it could have been when she was with him that she learned about the weapons, because he deals in weapons. That's one of the things that he does. So anyway, that's the only thing I could think of. But see, we're just, guessing, because we haven't seen the backstory yet. So, but she is very knowledgeable about traps and getting away from bad situations, and remember, she saved the highway patrolman's life by, she knew how to do a tourniquet, and she was calm, and she asked him if he was going to be okay, if he needed help, and she's a very strong person. That's what's so funny when, on the other hand, we see all these shows or whatever with these women saying they have to say they're strong women or something, and here you have a strong woman here. I know we talked about this before, but it shows up again in this episode, and she's a strong, quote, strong, powerful woman, but nobody has to say it. She's just it. She practices it. You don't have to hear it, the words. You just see it in action.
Yeah.
Which has more meaning, and it isn't laughable. You can take it seriously because it's real. So
I will, and then also too, I will say that they did not further go into like if Roy was a psychic or anything, because last episode they had that whole thing which was like The Shining, where he was lying in bed and he looked up and he could see what was going on somehow. Like, I didn't think that they were indicating that he was psychic, but
I don't know, though.
Safi thought so, but they haven't gone into more of that yet. So, you know,
the only reason why it even comes across my mind is because in that one Fargo episode where all those they have those two gangs, and then the flying saucer goes over and actually saves the deputy's life.
Yeah, that episode
because it
sucked.
distracted the bad guy.
That episode sucked.
But anyway, that was totally out of the blue. And so
it's just a creative scene transition to show, like, him looking up and he's contemplating and thinking, and then you see the ceiling and you can see them, her and whatever, her family in that. Like, it's a creative scene transition.
yeah, and that's good. That's a good thing.
So we should move on to the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, we have two more kind of weird negative things, but
he's in the bathtub after, I guess, he invaded Roy's house.
and he's all dirty because he put all his crap all over him.
Yeah, I don't know what he put on. They don't show anything. So, like, apparently he had a lot of blood, so I don't know if he cut himself or what. I don't know what that dirt is all over him. Like, it's just very bizarre.
I'm just thinking, the only thing I can think of is he's using that as a disguise.
I don't know.
In other words, to make yourself darker and blend in the dark.
I just think he's a weirdo.
And he's a weirdo too, though.
He's like Safi.
He's sitting in the bathtub, and he's a big guy. He's tall. And it's one of those, I think, old-fashioned claw-footed deep bathtubs. And he says this whole spiel about, you have to watch the episode.
It reminded me of a lot of the characters in Fargo, they talk in philosophy language.
Yeah, philosophical.
They don't really talk like normal people, which is fine because that's the style of the show. But I will say, too, that I think that overall people do that a little too much on the show because, like, in the original Fargo movie, there was hardly any of that at all. Right, Safi? Like,
It's very plain talking.
Yeah.
Down to earth, plain talking. Deputy, the woman, remember, was it Marge? Remember, she was pregnant, and that's where you hear the accent. They're Minnesota, Fargo, North Dakota, South Dakota.
Well, but I think there was, like, maybe one or two lines in the whole movie that were kind of like philosophical lines, like.
But it was a brief line.
Maybe one of them probably came from the Native American guy, and then one of them maybe came from her. I can't really remember because I've only seen that once. Safi should know, but of course she doesn't.
I've seen it several times.
And let's just guess. I put it out of my memory.
I would never be able to remember.
Why?
No matter what.
Why?
But Marge was very plain spoken, and so if she said anything philosophical, which is very likely, it would have been a one-line thing. This guy was sitting in a tub
giving a lecture that I can't even remember what he said.
The philosophical lecture. Now this might go back to this insolubilia.
Insolublia?
Whatever. Liar's paradox. Because what they did was they did a side-by-side screen where they had him in the bathtub saying this thing about rich people. And then they showed, and in the other scene, you have the sheriff who was dressed really nicely in a sweater vest and in a bright room, and he's sitting there with kind of an angry look on his face. And then on the other side is this filthy, tall guy. I mean, he's got filth all the way up to his hairline, to the tips of his toes, and that he's smeared all over himself, and he's sitting in the bathtub, and of course...
And that really reminded me of the X-Files, that episode with that Leonard Betts. Remember where he was in the bathtub with all that liquid because he had to heal himself? Remember that?
Yeah.
I'll look it up too. Leonard Betts. I didn't like that episode very much.
But I mean, there was no way to get all that off, and he's such a big guy. it would probably take multiple baths
Yeah,
to
see?
get rid of all that.
Remember that?
Oh, God.
Isn't that a lot like that?
Yeah.
And so, well,
They don't really show the water.
he had to put his head back on. Well, after he does that whole thing, and he stands up, his mom is like, "What do you want?"
She said, "Why are you here?"
And he says that he wants pancakes.
And that was it. And then we're going to go all the way back to the very beginning of when the sheriff came in the picture. And he's at the abusive husband.
No, you're forgetting. They show him heading into his house, and he knows that old Munch has been there, and he's got his shotgun, and he's running around trying to see if there's anyone still there, and he sees that in his daughter's bedroom there's like a tic-tac-toe, and there's like two symbols, as if those are two people that he's taken out, or maybe that have been taken out in general, because I don't know. I mean, he only killed one person so far, right?
Well, I don't know about that. The highway trooper, he keeps saying there's this highway trooper who was killed.
But that wouldn't count as one of Roy's people.
Oh, I don't know.
Because there's two of them, and then he has a line through it, and it's all written in blood.
It's real big and thick.
It's just so random and creepy and
it's
weird.
Like 3 foot tall.
And I just felt like
3 by 3.
This is actually pretty cool, because I also think, the story has mainly been that, they're messing with the wrong woman. Well, I think that with Old Munch that they're also messing with the wrong guy. Yeah, because he's just crazy, and he's got nothing to lose, too.
He's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. The thing is, but we've got kind of like, this is probably why Dorothy and that guy got together, or I should say Nadine and the guy got together in the first place, because they have this unrealistic attitude where they can just keep lying about something and covering it up.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get into this other part after that, where that abusive husband and his abused wife come into the picture. And so the sheriff goes to their house. And why he decides to go there, we don't know.
Well, yeah, we do. In the first episode, he said he's going to check up on them and what's going on.
He's just checking up on them. Okay, I just
thought
maybe something happened.
And then he decided there that we are actually going to do something really dirty and smart, where we're going to pretend like the husband, Joshua, is the bad guy.
Is Munch.
And then they can kill him and then pretend like the case is closed. And then the wife is going to be forced to pretend like she made the call and she actually confirmed that it was him that was the bad guy. So they have this whole great scene. That was my favorite part of the episode, because you got John Hamm and you got this guy who is going to die, and it's just like a matter of waiting for him to get, boom, shot right then and there.
Well, he pulled a gun on the sheriff.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a no-no.
Well, you can't do that anywhere.
That's a no-no.
And that's grounds for the police to say bye-bye.
And then Roy is just like, bam! And it's so cool, too, because, like, he beat him to the draw. Or, I mean, he beat him to shooting. Because, like, the other guy already had his gun pointed at him. But John Hamm is so fast that he's just like, bam! I thought that was awesome. That was the best part of the episode. So, I can't wait to see more of that, because even though he is a villain, he is also pretty cool when it comes to, like, action, because he's John Hamm. So I can't wait to see more of that. And so then he tells the wife that as long as she keeps lying, he'll send her money every month because he's her friend. And she should be happy that he's her friend. And at that point, I was saying, like, out loud that, like, oh, that's a really bad thing to have that guy as your friend, actually. Like, you wouldn't want to have him as your friend And you wouldn't want to have him as your partner either, that's for sure. Like, you wouldn't want to have him anywhere near you at all, because he's just the worst. Like, I don't know, like, if he's the worst villain in Fargo history, because, I mean, we probably have to do a ranking for that. Right, Safi?
God.
Well, just thinking about season 1, I don't think that this guy is as evil as Billy Bob Thornton, Leonard, Lorne? His name was Lorne.
I don't remember, but he was bad.
I don't think he's as bad as Roy, though. I think Roy's worse.
Well, that's because he puts on this pretend look, where he's the strong sheriff, and he has law. They have their law and order that only pertains to them.
In season 2, you had the gangs, and you had, I mean, there might have been people that were worse than those for sure, but I'm not really sure. I mean, it's debatable. And then in season 3, I do think that both those villains were kind of worse. You know, you had the guy with the gross teeth, and he kept on throwing up, and from Harry Potter. And then you also had that guy who was like a part of the KGB or whatever. Like, remember that?
No.
And they showed all the spirits of the people that he killed, and then he got killed.
Yeah.
So, like, I think maybe those people are kind of worse, but it's debatable, because this guy's so evil, this Roy. A character being named Roy is a big red flag. Like, I know that you have, like, that cowboy guy what was that guy, Rob Roy?
I don't know.
You don't?
Nope.
Damn you, Safi. But, like, then you think about Roy's in general, like, Roy from The Office is really bad. And you think, if there's a character named Roy, you don't mess with that character. They're probably bad.
I went to school with somebody with that name.
Roy.
Yeah.
It's a kind of cool name, but it just kind of gives off like vibes of like that evil guy at the bowling alley or something. I don't know, right?
Well, I don't want to say too much, because I don't know who from my school listens to this.
They don't, Safi. They don't even know this exists. They think that you're some.
I don't know what they think. I don't even want to know what they think, but he isn't. He was a little full of himself and spoiled, but he's had very bad luck in his life, and
well, his
wife, he was married and she died.
He's probably
so it's he hasn't. It's I don't want to really say anything.
He's probably the devil's prodigy or something.
No,
right?
No. He was a football player and did all the sports, and I don't know.
Was he closeted?
No.
Because that happens in football.
No.
You got a lot of closeted people
Marco,
in there.
Please stop it. Don't be a dip.
And their name is Roy too. Uh-oh.
He's not a bad. I feel bad for him because he's. I think his life has turned around.
Does he have AIDS?
No. His wife was an alcoholic. And she got her. They got a divorce. I think she got her kids taken away. He got full custody. I mean, it's really. I could be totally wrong, but about that, all that specific stuff. I didn't want to say it. You just had to push it. And anyway, he's not a bad person, so he's the only Roy I know.
That will end our interrogation.
Okay,
now.
Great.
So what?
So anyway.
That's how the episode ends. And Roy rides off into the sunset too, and I really like a lot of the Western scenery that we've seen this episode.
Calgary, Canada.
Season 4 was such an ugly ass season and such a shitty season, and it was so ugly. Like they were supposed to be shooting in Missouri, and instead they shot somewhere else, and so it looked terrible.
Chicago.
And it looked
in the Chicago area.
It looked really ugly, and they had that one scene, that one episode that was like ripping off Wizard of Oz, But then I think that this season actually looks really nice and beautiful. Like all the western landscapes and the horse riding and stuff like that.
It is a western type area. They do have a lot of rodeos.
That's cool.
Up in Calgary, and it's just a lot colder there.
So they really redeemed themselves from last season. Like, I don't know if they listened to our videos, but they did really improve on the show and make it a lot better than last season. Well, I mean, they still have a strong female character, and you know, some people, if this was done badly, they could say it's an agenda show, but it's not. And so, like, they're doing a good job with that.
It's just that I don't know why. I'm not really sure or clear on why she wants to trying to keep it on the down low, because it just ain't gonna stay.
Yeah, it's not gonna work forever. But I just think
can't.
They said something at the beginning of the season, like what was it? Was it Minnesota nice or Fargo nice? Where it was just like you keep on pretending that everything is okay even though it's not, or something like that's. I guess
that was Minnesota.
That's her problem.
She's know.
Just she can't help it, like a child that can't help doing something, like in the Invisible Boy's Revenge, and he couldn't help making the choices that he made. She's kind of like the same way. She's kind of like a child.
Well, it's a matter, too, of being discovered, but she's been discovered.
She's a tiger child.
It's over. And the thing is, so she put her husband and her daughter in danger, and then, of course, he did get zapped with her trap.
But
accidentally.
He could have listened to her.
No, he didn't listen to her. He was because he was reacting, and he was upset.
They're just collateral damage, you know. That's what they say nowadays with people. Like, oh, people are just collateral damage. Yeah. And so, like, I feel like even though her character is really strong, she needs to grow up a little bit more, because, like, I think maybe once the police characters start helping her, that everything is going to turn around and get a lot better for her.
I hope so, because I don't think it's fair.
Usually in these Fargo seasons, too, it never ends up well for people to just be renegades who don't cooperate with the law. Like, you remember in season 3, that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's like the best character of the season and one of the best characters of the whole show, she was like a badass, and she got all that stuff done, and she got the money from the bad guy, and she avenged his death. But then at the very end, she still got fucked up in that standoff. Remember where she shot the police officer, and he shot her as well. Like, they shot each other, and I think they both died. And then in season 2, Kirsten Dunst, the whole season, she and her husband were like taking out gang members right and left on accident, and they still got fucked up. He got killed, and then she got arrested and put in prison. So there really is no winning in this series unless you get help from the law enforcement people. So it is kind of interesting too that, like, we haven't talked about this yet, but it's interesting that Roy is like an evil law enforcement character, because, usually in the show, only people who are in law enforcement are the people who make out all right, or mostly. They're the people who are destined to survive, and, they get the bad guy and everything. That's how it always turns out, but in this situation, you have a bad guy sheriff. So that's also pretty cool. They're subverting their own rules that they've set up.
Well, another neat thing is, I was really happy that they did this thing in Kansas City. Well, they said they were, even though they didn't.
And they fucked up with that.
But anyway, John Hamm is from Missouri. He's from St. Louis, though, and he went to the University of Missouri. So at least somebody from Missouri is associated with the show, and he's, perfect for the part. So, Anyway, I guess we're going to wrap it up now.
What about our ratings? I have to give it a B plus.
Give it a B. Okay, well,
and
I
you have to give it yours.
And
yeah.
But I do wish, as Marco said at the very beginning, they had hooked us on with last week's episode.
Yeah, I think if they did that, I would have given this a higher grade. Because, all the build-up from last week, it's gone now. Like, I wasn't really, hyped up like I was last week. So, it was all gone, all the anticipation of seeing the home invasion and everything.
Yeah. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers so we can hear your feedback, but we can also hear what you think about this show and what you're watching now around the holidays. I'm getting to watch Ugly Bad Things, but I like Fargo, but I'm having to watch Your Honor Season 2.
Yeah, have fun. You have to watch two episodes today.
Okay.
And tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.